What is the current status of the Fukushima nuclear power plant? What do local citizens think about the governmental decision? How to deal with millions of tons of nuclear contaminated water? Over the past 10 years, the Tokyo Electric Power Company has made some progress in cleaning up and scrapping the Fukushima nuclear power plant, but it is still a difficult problem for now. Japan stated that it has now decided to release the treated radioactive water into the ocean, and that it has removed most of the nuclear material except tritium. Japan stated that it is difficult to remove tritium, but finally decided it is most realistic to dilute it to a safe range for the ocean. Even if only tritium is left in the nuclear wastewater, there is still a risk of carcinogens or cytopathy for organisms. All organisms in the ocean will be affected and spread to the global waters within a few decades. There are 89% of people in Japan who are significantly disturbed by the evaluation caused by the Japan's discharge into the ocean. They felt distrustful and insecure about the Japanese government has not established a strict and standardized monitoring and information disclosure mechanisms to open the actual data on nuclear wastewater. In the meantime, they thought dumping nuclear wastewater into the ocean will influence their future lives and the health of the next generations. Continuing to biofuel like fishes after dumping nuclear wastewater will also increase the threat of getting contaminated. The head of Japan's National Fisheries Association even presented a petition at the meeting in Tokyo with several cabinet members, saying that the fishing industry was united in its opposition to the release of nuclear wastewater into the sea. Especially citizens in Fukushima are under discrimination. Their income is affected as their products cannot be exported abroad or locally. And for several years, they have been trying to persuade the rest of Japan to buy their products. They argue that if the Japanese government decides to dump nuclear wastewater into the ocean, people elsewhere will be afraid to continue producing anything in Fukushima. Moreover, the Nuclear Citizens Committee, a non-governmental organization in Japan, has issued a public statement expressly opposing the release of contaminated nuclear wastewater into the ocean. Environmental groups have also cast doubt on the Japanese government's claim that the contaminated water stored at the crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant can be safely released into the ocean. In 2016, experts from all over the world proposed 5 solutions for nuclear wastewater treatment. The first is to mix nuclear wastewater with cement to form a cement block, which is then buried deep to prevent nuclear wastewater from polluting groundwater and isolating nuclear radiation. Another method is to decompose wastewater into nitrogen and carbon monoxide through electrolysis and discharge them into the atmosphere for dilution treatment. The third method is to dig a 2,500 meter deep pit to store the wastewater under the underground layer so that it will not pollute the Earth's groundwater. The fourth method is to build a chimney high enough to continuously heat and evaporate, and to discharge the steam into the high-altitude atmosphere. Above the atmospheric cloud layer, the creatures on the Earth will not be touched. The last treatment method is to pump a large amount of seawater to dilute the nuclear wastewater. Dilute the nuclear elements in the wastewater to negligible and then redischarge to the sea. Although this method is no different from the direct discharge, it is at least diluted. We believe that Japan can face opposition and doubts from home and abroad, recognize its own responsibilities and obligations, revoke unilateral wrong decisions, must not initiate discharge of nuclear contaminated water without authorization, back to the right path of consultation with relevant international institutions.